I set my wet gloves on the small mirror above the cabin sink, just for a second, just to free my hands. It feels like nothing. A lazy mistake, the kind you make when you are tired and hungry and the day has been longer than the map promised. The mirror clacks against the wall. The gloves slide. One finger of the left glove drapes over the glass and leaves a dark streak. When I look up to check the damage, my reflection does not look back. My eyes are on the mirror, but the face in it keeps staring slightly past me as if someone stands over my shoulder. The angle is wrong. The timing is wrong. It is a tiny lag, like a bad video call, but it is real enough to turn my skin cold. I tell myself it is the light. The cabin is old. The mirror is old. The glass is spotted and warped at the edges. I blink. I shift. The reflection shifts late. Then it catches up, and for a moment it is perfectly normal. I pull the gloves off the mirror so fast the wet leather squeaks. My hands shake. I laugh once, sharply, because I need a sound that proves I'm alone. Outside, the forest presses against the single window like a crowd that refuses to leave. The snow line sits higher than it should for this time of year. The sky is the color of dirty cotton. I have no service, no radio. I heighten because I needed silence, because the city has been chewing through my sleep, because my therapist keeps saying the word reset like it is a switch. The cabin is part of a public trail system. The website says it is maintained. The door sticks. The hinges complain. Inside, the air tastes like pine rot and cold metal. I move away from the sink. I do not look at the mirror again. I unpack fast, as if speed can keep whatever that was from becoming real. My pack goes on the floor. My food goes on the table. I find a stack of split wood by the stove and light a fire that takes too long to catch. When the warmth finally begins to push back the chill, I notice the guest log on the shelf beside a lantern. It is a thick notebook with a cracked spine and a pencil tied to it with twine. I open it because that is what you do in a cabin that belongs to everyone and no one. People leave notes about weather and trail conditions and little jokes that make the wilderness feel social. The first few pages smell like smoke and damp paper. I flip through familiar handwriting from strangers, dates from this year, then last year, then older. There are pressed leaves stuck between pages. Then I stop. Halfway down a page, under a date that makes my throat tighten, is my name. Not just my name, my handwriting. It is the same slant, the same habit of looping the G too wide, the same way I press too hard at the start of a sentence and then lighten as I go. I know my own hand the way I know my own voice in recordings I hate. The date is 6 years ago. I do not remember being here. I stand very still, listening to the cabin. The fire pops once. The wind scrapes at the roof. The logbook page rustles under my fingers. The entry is short. It says I'm glad I found this place. It says the mirrors are not for checking your face. It says do not make eye contact in glass. It says if you hear your own voice calling from another room, do not answer. At the bottom is a line that makes my stomach fold in on itself. It says I will leave myself proof. My eyes flick to the shelf, to the lantern, to the corners where dust gathers. I search without meaning to, like an animal sniffing for a predator. Proof of what? The pencil tied to the logbook feels heavy when I pick it up. I compare the old entry to the way my hand looks now, holding the pencil. It matches. A rational explanation tries to form. Someone forged it. Someone is messing with hikers. A friend did this as a prank and I forgot. But the date is wrong for all of those. 6 years ago I was in another state, I think. I picture my old job, the office, the window that never opened. I remember fluorescent light, not trees. I flip the page. There is nothing else from me. No follow-up. Just other names, other notes, all normal. My skin prickles as if the cabin has shifted 1 inch closer. I close the logbook and shove it back on the shelf too hard. The lantern wobbles. Something slides behind it with a soft scrape. I freeze. The shelf is shallow, backed by the wall. There should be nothing behind the lantern. I move the lantern aside and my fingers find a plastic case tucked into the shadow. A cassette tape. The label is clean white paper, the kind you can peel off and rewrite. The ink is fresh and dark. Today's date. I stare at it until my eyes start to water. I have not seen a cassette tape in years. Not in real life. I did not pack a player. Most people do not, but the cabin does. Under the shelf, half hidden by an old blanket, sits a small tape recorder. It is the kind used for interviews, with a speaker grill and a red record button worn smooth. A thin layer of dust lies on it except for a clean arc around the buttons, as if someone has used it recently. As if someone has been here today. My mouth is dry. I pick up the recorder. It is heavier than it looks. The plastic is cold. I do not want to put the tape in. The label feels like a dare. I look at the mirror above the sink without meaning to. My reflection is there, but it's not moving. It stands with my shoulders slightly higher than they are, like it is holding its breath. Its eyes are fixed on me with an intensity I do not feel. The longer I look, the more wrong it becomes, like a mask settling. I snap my gaze away so hard my neck hurts. The old entry said do not make eye contact in glass. I tell myself I did not. I tell myself that was not eye contact. That was a glance. The cabin seems to listen. I move through the room and cover the mirror with a dish towel. My hands fumble with the corners. The towel hangs crooked. I adjust it until no glass shows. I do the same to the small mirror mounted near the bunk. I did not notice it when I arrived. It is a narrow strip, like a motel mirror, and now the thought of it makes my stomach churn. When I finish, the cabin feels slightly safer, like closing a door, but the window is still there. The glass in the window is old and wavy. It reflects the interior at night like a dark mirror. I hesitate, then pull the curtain across it. The fabric smells like dust. Only then do I breathe. The tape sits on the table like an insect. I pick it up. The plastic case clicks in my grip. I turn it over, looking for any mark. any clue. On the back, in the same handwriting as the logbook entry, is a single sentence. Play before sunset. My eyes go to the window curtain. The light around the edges is already dimming. The forest day ends early here. I hate how my body responds. The pressure in my chest is not curiosity, it is compliance. I sit at the table and slide the tape into the recorder. The mechanism accepts it with a soft clunk. My thumb hovers over play. I listen. The cabin is quiet except for the stove. I press play. At first there's only tape hiss, like distant rain. Then a breath. Then my voice. It is older and tighter, but it's mine. It fills the cabin in a way my own speaking never does, too close, too intimate, as if it is coming from inside my skull. I say my name, slowly, like I am checking I still own it. I say I do not have much time. I say if I am listening to this, then I came back. My hands go numb around the recorder. On the tape, I sound terrified but controlled. The way you sound when you have already screamed and it did not help. I say there is something in the reflections. I say it cannot touch you directly, not at first, but it can stand where you should stand. It can practice. I say it learns you by watching you watch yourself. I say it gets stronger when you recognize it. My throat tightens. My eyes flick toward the covered mirror even though I do not want them to. On the tape, I say I made the first mistake by looking too long. I remember the way the reflection lagged, the way it stared past me. On the tape, I say the second mistake was trying to prove I was not imagining it. I swallow. My fingers dig into the table edge. On the tape, I say there are rules. I say cover glass. I say do not take photos. I say do not use your phone screen as a mirror. I say do not look into the dark window at night. I say if you see movement in a reflection that does not match you, leave the room without turning your back to the glass. The tape clicks as it runs. My breath comes shallow. Then my voice changes. It drops, as if I am speaking with my mouth close to the recorder. I say it starts small. I say it will stand in the mirror behind you when you brush your teeth. I say it will appear in the window behind your shoulder as you stare into the trees. I say it will be gone when you turn. I say the fear is not the danger. I say the danger is when you stop being sure which movements are yours. My stomach turns. I think of the reflection that did not move. On the tape, I pause for a long time. I can hear the cabin in the background, faint pops of fire, a wind sound. Then I whisper. I say it can only exist in reflections, but reflections are everywhere. I say polished metal. I say still water. I say a knife blade. I say your own eyes if you stare at them in the dark. My skin crawls. I glance at the kettle on the stove. The curved metal catches a dim shape of the room. I cannot help it. I see a smear of light, a warped outline of the table, and something upright behind me. I jerk my head around. Nothing. My heart bangs against my ribs. I look back at the kettle reflection. The shape is gone. On the tape, my voice becomes urgent. I say it wants you to look. I say cannot cross into you until you accept it as you. I say do not say your own name to your reflection. I say do not answer when it uses your voice. I say I am leaving this tape because I did not get out clean. I say I do not know how long it takes. I say the cabin helps because it is full of old rules and old fear, like a trap already sprung. I want to stop the tape. I want silence, but my thumb will not move. On the tape, I say there is one thing that slows it. I say write. I say leave notes for yourself in places you will not forget. I say the guest log is a tether. I say if you can read your own warning, you are still you. My eyes snap to the shelf where the logbook sits. The idea that my identity is held together by ink makes me nauseous. On the tape, I inhale sharply, like I have seen something. Then I say very softly, it is standing behind you right now. Every hair on my body lifts. The room feels smaller. The air thickens. I keep my eyes on the recorder as if it is an anchor. My breathing is loud. On the tape, I say do not turn around. I do not. On the tape, I say it is not behind you in the room. I feel my pulse in my teeth. On the tape, I say it is behind you in the glass. My gaze drifts, against my will, to the edge of the towel covering the sink mirror. A tiny corner of glass peeks out where the towel slipped. In that sliver, I see the back of my head, and I see something else. It is not a face. It is a suggestion of one, like a person formed from the wrong angles. It stands too close, its outline overlapping mine as if it is trying to fit. Its eyes are the worst part. They are in the right place, but they do not look like they belong to anyone. They look like holes punched through a picture. The sliver of reflection moves. My shoulders in the mirror dip, slowly, as if I am relaxing, but I am not moving. My hands are locked on the table. The reflection of me begins to smile. My mouth in the real room stays clenched. On the tape, my voice is almost calm, like I am talking to an animal. I say this is the irreversible part. I say the moment you see it wearing you, it knows you have seen. I say do not let it finish the expression. The smile in the mirror widens. The skin around the reflected eyes does not crease right. It looks stretched, like a glove pulled over a hand that is not human. My vision tunnels. I want to throw the towel back over the mirror, but that would mean moving toward it, reaching into its space. On the tape, I say there is only one safe direction. I say go outside before sunset. I say do not bring anything that reflects. I say leave the tape. I say leave the logbook open to your entry. I say if it follows, you will see it in a world only in the places you forget to fear. The tape ends with a hard click. The recorder stops. The cabin is suddenly too quiet. The sliver of mirror is still uncovered. In it, the reflected me tilts its head, slow and curious. In the real room, my head does not move. A sound comes from behind the covered window curtain, not from outside, from the glass itself. It is a soft tap, like a fingernail testing thickness. Then another, then a drag, as if something is tracing the inside surface. My mouth tastes like pennies. I stand up without taking my eyes off that sliver of mirror. The reflected me stands too, but it stands faster, as if it anticipated the motion. The smile does not drop. I reach for the towel with 2 fingers, careful, like touching a hot pan. In the mirror sliver, the thing behind me leans closer. The tap at the window becomes a slow knock. The light behind the curtain fades as the sun lowers. I pull the towel down. The mirror is fully covered. For 1 second, relief rushes through me so hard I almost almost sob. Then my own voice speaks from the next room, from the bunk area I cannot see. It says my name, perfectly, in my tone, with the same tight fear I heard on the tape. It says, I am here. The logbook entry said do not answer. My lips part anyway. The knock at the window stops. In the sudden silence, I realize the voice is not coming from the bunk area at all. It is coming from the covered mirror, and it is waiting for me to respond. I take one step back, and the floorboard under my heel creaks. From the other side of the towel, something creaks back, matching my weight, matching my timing, as if it is standing exactly where I am, only separated by a thin piece of cloth and a rule I have already broken once. Outside, the last strip of daylight slides away, and the cabin fills with the dark shine of things I forgot could reflect.